Hello everyone, welcome back to Podcast on Wheelz, episode number 61. As we said on today's episode, please sit back and enjoy the show. Hello everyone. So, welcome to another podcast episode. We are actually getting into the routine of doing these actually weekly.
You're doing a wonderful job.
So, yeah, we really are. I think we're 3 weeks straight.
I think so.
Yeah.
2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, welcome to the episode. Donny is going to mainly be talking a lot in this episode about his medical mayhem. I decided to title that because they've been having like 2 months of symptoms, but I'll let him take
And I'll probably date back all the way to December.
Yeah, so I'll let him take that away.
Yeah, so, okay. So, this podcast is pre-filmed before my medical appointment that I'll be having.
We pre-film these, by the way, guys, as if you really thought we were filming this on a Thursday. It's actually a Sunday.
Yep. But I'll be having my appointment on June 16th, and this podcast will probably be going out like, June
something. I don't know.
Whatever day. I just know it would be like almost 2 weeks later.
Sorry, because our earlier one that we filmed is coming out this Thursday. We filmed that one earlier, and now this one's going to come out
next Thursday.
Yeah, so
it's going to be a long time after my appointment, but I just wanted to let y'all know because I don't have the full updates on why these are happening. But we'll soon figure out tomorrow, hopefully. I'll date back all the way to December when the mayhem started. Of medical thingies that goes on.
The medical mayhem.
Yes. So, first off, on December 16th, there was no sickness rivaling, but sadly, I think I was going through, I'm always going through depression, and I've always been having depression for like 4 years now, 3 years, I don't know. It's been a long time. And I get these varieties of episodes where I go down through a spiral of panic attacks and anxiety and breakdowns and meltdown. It's not good. Let's just say it's an ugly sight to see, apparently. And so I think December 16th, about 5 or 6 months ago, I was having like sort of an episode, I guess, where I was just, crying or whatever. I wasn't really crying at first, but I was glum and tired and not mentally well all day. And I was at night just watching, Reels. And of course the sad Reels flooded my feed. So, I was almost crying or whatever. And my friend Flora decided to call me. And we just had the most wonderful call of our lives, and we were crying and bawling to each other on video call. But that was just a real night because, by the end of the night, at like 2 a.m. in the morning, I was like so happy. But that whole day, I was just so glum and sad. I don't know why. So that happened on December 16th, and on December 17th, me and my husband we were driving up to our SMA conference we do every 7 months. It's not frequent, and it's also not too long away, so every 7 months we do an SMA conference and just kind of come out and talk to people and discuss about our disorders and things that need more research or whatever, and we educate people and we just talk and come out and talk to the community. So me and my husband were making our way down because it takes about 10 hours to drive to the conferences and stuff, because having plane rides is a lot more difficult when you're in a wheelchair, and stuff like that. So me and my husband drive 10 hours and stuff like that. So we were just driving, and halfway into the drive on December 17th, late that night, I started getting coughing fits and like runny nose. So I was like, okay, that's a little odd, and I started getting a little tickle in the back of my throat. So I was like, okay, am I picking up something the night of the drive? And the conference wasn't going to start until December 20th because it takes so darn long to get the conference and talk and drive and do stuff like that. So it's just a difficult process every 7 months, but we do enjoy it. But me and my husband started noticing we were getting sick and picking up something. And we thought, okay, our cold that I get multiple times a year, like 3 or 4 times a year, and so I didn't think anything of it, continued to have coughing fits all night, and didn't really sleep too good that night. I woke up with less congestion than usual. I was like, oh, well, I'm congested. I need to cough out all the phlegm, and I need to do my treatments and stuff like that. But I noticed as I was going through like college and as I was going through college that morning, because we take pit stops and try to make sure that we do not miss any more days of college because attendance sucks. And so we were just kind of chilling, and I noticed, you know what, for the first day of a cold, my symptoms aren't that bad. Like, I coughed out all the phlegm and my voice is almost completely hoarse free, even though it was still a little hoarse and stuff like that. And I definitely wasn't showing symptoms. I'm like, I'm not sick, but I was definitely showing easier symptoms, because normally the first day of the cold is definitely the worst. Like, the morning after you get sick, I'm congested with all that phlegm. My throat is horrible and hoarse and sore, and it's awful. And so I was like, okay, that's a little weird. And
like, he's just going through some random ass lung shit.
Yeah. And throughout the day I was coughing more and more, and I was getting more symptoms as I went on. I was like, that's weird. Why is it getting worse instead of better?
Yeah,
because normally a cold for me is the worst on day one, and then it normally alleviates itself throughout the week that I have the cold. And then by the end of the week, I'm almost completely to my normal self again. So I'm like, okay, that's how my colds normally go, but it was weird. And my friends were like, and I was explaining to my symptoms to my friends, and they're like, Donny, you sound like you have pneumonia. And I was like, no, I don't. Like, I had pneumonia cases before, and stuff like that, and I recovered from them and stuff like that. But they're like, yeah, Donny, you sound like you have a cold. On the first day, like, yeah, no, Donny, you just have a cold. And then I was explaining my symptoms and stuff like that, and I was like, yeah, like, I'm getting more and more congested and more hoarse and more odd as time went on. And they're like, Donny, you sound like you have, like, pneumonia. And I was like, no, I don't. Obviously, I was gaslighting myself. I did have pneumonia, and I did pick it up. And fun fact, 3 weeks later, I recovered from pneumonia. But that 3 weeks wasn't easy. The phlegm and congestion eventually eased up, and then the sore throat, the AD, the fevers, the hot and cold chills all throughout my body still happened. And people are like, great, your voice sounds so much better. No, I'm overheating for the 10th time today. My AD is spiking through the roof. I feel like I'm like almost blacking out from heat or whatever. Like, it wasn't even good. I had, like, oh my god, I literally woke up in the middle of the night with coughing fits and my chest hurting.
Ignore me. I have this one bit of phlegm that's like never getting out.
And then I was just having coughing fits.
As we're coughing?
Yeah. I was having coughing fits and fevers and above and beyond pain.
Do we have pneumonia now?
No. I hope God knows.
When we do the podcast on Monday, we might sound like we do.
Yeah. But I normally get all the phlegm out in the morning, and that's why I would sound better in the afternoon. But basically, to cut it short, I suffered 3 weeks of pneumonia, and I recovered on like January 5th or 6th. So all the way into the new year, all throughout our Christmas break, and I was miserable the entire time.
Yeah, he was literally miserable.
It wasn't fun.
There was sometimes that he would like randomly try to take a nap or something, or like maybe that was during strep throat.
That was during strep. Yeah, when I got sick all of Easter break for 2 weeks. I hate breaks. Yeah. They always bring spring the worst luck ever.
Maybe now that we're not in college, you might not get sick around there.
But maybe
you never know.
Well, we're doing summer break before we, like, get hired into jobs and other things that we can work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like other jobs.
So, basically, I thought the bad luck would end there. It did not. And this is just Medical Palooza. This is not the whole entire Palooza we just talked about in the last 2 episodes.
A mini medical mayhem before the actual medical mayhem.
Oh, yeah.
That he had experienced. He's still experiencing.
Oh, yeah.
Sydney and him are experiencing. Let's just say that.
So, it first started off with just depression through the entire month of January and December. Like bad episodes. And then it had 3 weeks of pneumonia from December 17th all the way to like January 6th, when I actually felt fully recovered and better. And then throughout that January, we kind of chilled through life struggles. We also chilled through March, and then April struck. Oh boy. The first 5 days of April was fine, and I was chilling. But on April 5th, I think after like field trips and stuff like that, I started experiencing muscle twitching and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that's kind of normal, I guess. Like, I normally experience like maybe a muscle twitch every now and often. I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine, that's normal. But I was having them every single day. And then my wife started to limp on her right leg, and we were having my wife was having muscle fasciculations in her calves and feet, and random jolts in her legs, and the symptoms go forth on. You think we were having up to, I think, at least minimum 10 to 12 muscle fasciculations every single day, and my wife's feet would randomly jolt and move, and then she started experiencing slurring of her speech. Not like me, definitely not me.
No.
But I started noticing more like speech difficulties and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, that's a little funny. And over time, I don't have my big ass list on me, but we had dozens of symptoms, to the point our body was like set, to the point we felt fatigue over doing nothing, because by then we would have like 20 to 30 episodes of fasciculations every single day, and we would feel so tired at the end of the day, and our breathing would be very breathless throughout the day, and we would have a couple of bouts throughout the day where we felt like we couldn't take a good deep breath, and we discussed this, stuff like that, of our symptoms, but we've been having a lot lately, especially in April. That was hell back on Earth, and it got so bad to the point my wife would wake up the next day with bruises on her hips, legs, and arms.
Because of being so clumsy.
Yes, they wouldn't spawn out of random nowhere. Her limp in her leg caused her to the point of falling almost, and tripping and stumbling. I've never seen her trip and stumble that bad.
And if I must add, or if he already iterated it or something, whatever word I'm trying to look for, if he has already said this, the limp was non-noticeable to the human eye.
Yeah.
She could feel it, and she could know that the limp was there.
Yep.
However, I could never notice the limp until she actually started saying something about it. But then again, I still never noticed the limp from my eyes strolling or what.
Yeah, but I definitely saw her moving funny and stuff like that, and very off balance sometimes. And we just had symptoms every single day. And guess what? It's June 15th, the night before my appointment, and guess what's still happening? Those symptoms. They've definitely alleviated over the past 3 to 4 weeks, but they're definitely not gone, and they're still happening. And some days are worse than others. Sometimes I notice more fasciculations than the other days, and sometimes I just notice more fatigue and tiredness.
So it's like a little mix. It's like a roulette.
It's a roulette wheel.
It's when you
what
spin.
symptom and how shit would you feel this day? And that's what's happening to me and my wife for the past
like a damn wheel.
2 months straight. This has been happening to me and my wife. And our parents advised us to drink more water, eat less salt, and stuff like that. And our symptoms have been alleviating, but they've definitely not gone away, and they definitely still show their appearance every single day with symptoms, and they're not going away. They're still there after 8+ weeks, probably 9 weeks now, and stuff like that, which is fun, apparently. So we're finally getting a doctor's appointment tomorrow, and probably getting like a blood drawn or a couple of tests across the room or something like that, and like just mainly a discussion, and you think that would be it. No. After 3 weeks of pneumonia, 9 weeks of full body symptoms, that's not the end of it.
Nope.
Exercise-induced asthma comes into my mind. My lungs sucked. And also my wife's lungs sucked. She had RSV, bronchitis, pneumonia, all the list of lung disorders you could possibly name. Or sicknesses, whatever you would call it. And she used to have nebulizer treatment when she was around 4 to 3 years old because her lungs weren't adequately apparently developed from premature birth. So basically, me and my wife both went on a albuterol treatment when we were younger for RSV and bronchitis. And we probably still fucking need it.
Literally.
Because April definitely showed itself again. April 13th, on my friend's birthday party, my wife was running with her friends, and within 1 minute, her lungs started saying, "I'm in pain, I'm hurting," and she felt like she...
And Donny had explained this in a weekly vlog.
Yes.
Don't worry, Donny.
So later that day, while we were exercising or running or whatever, and I wasn't really running, but I was definitely pushing or blowing more harder than usual, driving around really, really fast. And our lungs were sending us signals within literally a minute. And I'm not kidding. A minute. A literal minute. They started sending signals like, okay, something's wrong. And our chest started tightening up. We started experiencing coughing and wheezing and gargling inside of our lungs. It was pain you'd never imagined. It was pain almost in literal tears and coughing, almost throwing up. And we were literally in immense pain. And at that point, within just only minutes, actual literal under 5 minute marks, our body was sending... I get like this burning sensation up my throat
like
and in my
his
mouth.
throat.
My mouth feels so weird. It's like it feels like burning. I'm like, I cannot breathe. I'm wheezing. I'm coughing. I feel so uncomfortable. It is literally so. It feels like burning, tightening, scratchy. I can't breathe. I cannot breathe. And I was debating. I was like, okay, there is multiple adults on the porch, and they don't see our discomfort right now. Should I warn them in the middle of a birthday party, guys, do you have treatment, albuterol or an inhaler? Because me and my wife,
because I have trouble breathing.
I have trouble breathing, and I cannot breathe. And so basically, me and my wife were
I'm not trying to interrupt him with my coughing, but for some other reason, this mucus knocked it out.
Yeah.
I have a drink. It's just like, damn.
Swear
I don't know if you can hear it when I talk.
Yeah, but me and my wife were in severe discomfort, and our friend could kind of like get a little distracted. So me and Sydney were inside the house to get something to drink, sit down, because we were exhausted. Like, no, we were in immense pain, and my friend was like, "Are you okay?" Like, the one who had the birthday party, she was like, "Are you okay?" Because she heard like wheezing. I can't even fake the sound.
Like
it was that bad. Every time I breathed out, I heard gargling and wheezing. Every single time I took a deep breath in and out, and I could barely take a deep breath.
Yeah.
If that was even possible, even after stopping moving. It was so fucking scary. Like, I couldn't even breathe almost. And so we're trying to debate that with the doctor. I'm like, do you have treatments? Do you have albuterol? Do you have something? Do you have something that we can alleviate these symptoms? Should we live with them our whole life? Yeah. So we're trying to get medical answers tomorrow at my 4:30 p.m. appointment. Holy shit.
Like, maybe we're over-exaggerating, but that damn...
My appointment is scheduled for 4:30 p.m. tomorrow.
But that's late.
That's so late.
Weirdly enough, I find that late because I've never had an appointment that late.
Never me neither. But we're planning... Well, I think it's going to go down tomorrow is we're going to be mainly discussing... I'm praying that Doc can come with me because I want someone to be there with me.
And you want someone who can film it.
Well, yeah, as well, but like also just be with me so she can back me up. Some things like, are you faking it? I'm like, nope, this is actual little hell. Please stop. Like, it's so annoying, I feel like, because my symptoms... Immediately once I tell somebody, like, yeah, we're scheduling an appointment, and they're like, yeah, we're going to schedule an appointment for August. I'm like, no, that would be month 4 of my kiddo having these symptoms. No. So, like, yeah, no, we're concerned. We're scheduling it for June, the earliest possible time we can schedule it. And so we're scheduling it, and we had to reschedule it because of graduation and stuff like that. And so basically, it's tomorrow.
Woo!
But Sally, what aggravates me kind of is I don't like being the center of attention. And I thought when I was having these symptoms, they would stay at their worst, even though I didn't want them to. And I'm happy they're kind of alleviating a little. They're still there every single day, without fail, for 2 months straight. And the worst of it was 5 weeks long.
Literally.
But as soon as I told somebody, and like, oh yeah, I'm having this, and like literally, like saying so many symptoms, and now they're at a dull point where they're like, oh yeah, we're getting better. Oh wait, you have a bad day. Oh, we're getting better. Oh, you have a bad day. And to me, it kind of feels like my body said, okay, once you told somebody, we're gonna now almost completely stop doing whatever it was doing. What? Like it almost completely stopped.
Literally.
But then they still happen every single day.
Yep.
And the limp's still there. And you know, tiredness is still there. And slurred speech is still there, you know. But just to a less varied degree. I'm like, okay, I seem at my best right before the appointment. I was concerned, that's why I told y'all. But then my body would be like, oh, I'm just gonna kind of alleviate. What? I experienced the worst of the worst for 5 weeks, and now you're gonna alleviate right before my doctor's appointment?
Damn it.
Bruh, this is when I need the most evidence. What the hell? So annoying. I just feel like, you know, I don't like being the center of attention, and I don't want to say, and I don't want people to say, you're faking it, because, you know, people with these conditions or something like that will probably be saying, oh, you don't kind of explain every symptom. Bro, then what was that 5 weeks? What the hell?
What was that?
What was that then?
Was that just a funny little baby hee-hee?
Girl, my body has never, ever done that. Ever. Like, not once, you know, a little fascination every couple months. Not 30 episodes a day. That's different.
Which was what was happening.
Yeah, it was happening. And then I still probably have like 1 or 2 every day, and then or a bad day, and it goes up to 10 again, and it stops. My boy, I'm having the best symptoms ever. Right before my doctor's appointment. Shit. And you don't just seem at, you want to seem at your worst, and then you don't want to.
Yeah, and Donny has been, and Sydney, and equally just as much as William, they've been experiencing these symptoms for, 3 months now?
Nope, only 2 months.
Okay.
Because June 5th hit 2 months, because April and June.
Yeah, okay.
So, like 2 months and a half?
Yeah,
probably.
2 months and a half that they've been experiencing this whole medical mayhem.
Without the 3 weeks in pneumonia.
Yeah, without the 3 weeks. So, you know, it barely just started. I mean, thankfully Donny had gone months without, being sick. He hasn't had, a true, really bad sickness.
Since January.
I haven't had one since March, because I just had a little congestion for 5 days.
Yeah, but keep in mind,
then it literally went away.
Yeah, but keep in mind, the last time I was sick, it lasted 3 weeks, so January 6th.
Weren't you sick in December?
Yes, I was sick December 17th.
Damn.
So, yeah, but, my body, even without being sick, we're gonna spring 9 weeks of scary-ass symptoms. People, I don't want to say they accuse me of some way, but they probably just said, oh, don't think that it's your wife has ALS or whatever, don't think that. I'm like, I can't not help but think about that. You know, when it's happening to you think a little bit differently.
Yeah,
and now that we're completely past that thought, because, you know, they kind of alleviated over time, never mind, it probably may never be that, thankfully, hopefully not.
Yeah, never. I really hope it's not.
Yeah, but we're getting checked out tomorrow to see if we have, magnesium or something like that. And magnesium does explain almost all of them, so I don't know. Maybe we're low in magnesium, but we just need some pills or something.
Which also, Donny hates pills.
Yeah, I can't swallow them. And my wife has a fear or something and cannot swallow them well. Yeah. that's my medical palooza. It's been happening for like probably 3 months. Total time, probably 3 or 4 months. Yep.
That's so fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm having so much fun. And tomorrow is our first real appointment to get things rolled out and maybe get a couple tests and pricked tomorrow. But we'll find out. I'm kind of hopeful, but then kind of not, because I'm like scared. I'm like, I don't want to seem like, I wouldn't say a burden, but I would say I'm spending money on something and I look fine.
Yeah.
Or I'm spending money now that my, wait, never mind, cancel the whole appointment. My body's actually acting normal after 9 weeks. And 5 weeks of the worst of the worst. Oh no, I'm fine. What? I just experienced over 40 days of the worst symptoms, and then I plus added extra 4 weeks or 5 weeks extra of the other parts of the symptoms that never go away and are still happening and stuff like that, and the vacillations are still there. Be like, oh, that's fine. You should be happy that you're getting better. No, I scheduled an entire appointment, and they were really highly concerned. And now that I'm chill and looking fine, they're like acting like nothing ever happened, boy. Now that I'm in the immediate center of attention. Now that I just told everyone and I looked fine.
My condition is always prominent simply because
hers is prominent in levels and stuff. Mine. We're gonna scare you.
That's why you're probably getting a blood test to see what's low.
We're gonna scare you shitless for 5 weeks straight, and then suddenly almost come to a halting stop, and then happen for 4 more weeks, and then be at your best of the best at the doctor appointment day. How the hell? What? How did that happen?
Well, why didn't you do that one?
Boy, I hate that so much. And be like, no, like, you're getting checked out, that's good. Yeah, but I look like I have nothing fucking wrong with me.
Nothing.
Oh, guess what, Dr. Riley? No problem here. I'm at the best of the best. It's so annoying. And so that's basically, I'm so sorry, I talked almost literally half this podcast, but that's my medical palooza. Getting checked out at 4:30 p.m. tomorrow, and we're going to see what is fully going on under the wraps of my body, apparently, and we're going to see. But yeah, Doc, go ahead.
Alright, now to the Pokemon dilemma, or what I would call a worldwide shutdown. Now that sounds overdramatic, but it happened a few days ago. Do you remember what date it happened on?
Absolutely not.
Well, it happened somewhere like this week, this week or this weekend. So this is a really small subject, so it won't take long.
Literally, like my 27-minute subject.
Literally. So yeah, this was a thing that happened a few days ago, and we had found out about it. I went to go log on for my daily pack, or just the Wonder Picks, and I come to find out that it says error. I have no idea if I have a screenshot. If I do, I can pop it here. So it gave us an error, and so I thought, okay, that's a little weird. Like, let me try reloading the game, because sometimes it's finicky, and sometimes I just have to work with it a bit. So I'm like, okay, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. And I logged into the app, and it says it again. I'm like, that's weird. Normally my internet's not that bad to the point that it starts showing errors and errors.
Yep.
So, I tried to go for it again. I was like, alright, let me try again. And I was
excuse me.
And then it said clear gotcha. So I cleared the gotcha, and it said it wouldn't delete anything, and then...
You mind if I have a drink?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry. You're good.
I'm opening my drink.
Alright, so the situation had, I wasn't too worried at first, because I was like, okay, it's just my internet. And then I tried it again, and I cleared gotcha, and then it happened again. That's weird. Like, typically for me, I wouldn't, it would never do anything like this. So I was like, okay, let me try again. Tried again, nothing happened. And, I was going through it, I was like, that's weird. So I left it alone. And it came to the point that I tried and tried again, and so I was like, let me just uninstall the game. And it was during while I was uninstalling it, I was like, let me go to Twitter, where Pokemon TCG Pocket is. I had uninstalled it, and so this means after the installation point, I would have to put my email in again, so I could get my saved data back.
Yep.
Then I realized the minute I hop on goddamn Twitter that it's shut down.
Right? And I had checked, and my game was shut down, and it wasn't opening
because
up.
This was
before. I wasn't able to either log back in or put.
And I think I think I had done this before Donny had even went onto the app. Yep. So I was like, okay. And so now I was a little bit scared. I was like, wait, I just uninstalled the damn game, and you're telling me it's shut down?
Oh, hell no.
Like, and I have 7+ months of gameplay on that account. Like, I have 12 to 11 immersive, 2 crown rares, god pack, 700+ packs. That's a lot of progress for an F2P. And I have a lot of the promo cards. That would be horrible if I lost all those. And so I was like, oh shit. I read everyone's opinion, like, how am I going to open my daily pack? And, it was time for my daily pack. So I was like, I don't know when it was going to come back on again. So I was like, okay. I didn't panic too much. And then a few hours later, it finally came back on for everyone again. Thankfully, it didn't literally last too long. It was just a random thing where the internet had stopped. I'm assuming a company's internet stopped working. So it affected other games, other sites, and Pokemon Pocket included. So I had to be very diligent about that, and I don't know, I had to be very cautious of the fact that all my data was saved into one email, and if I would have forgot that email or, done something with that email, that would be really, really bad.
Yeah.
So that's why I never get rid of that email, period.
I have my personal one. That literally has everything linked. Yeah. Nope. Not doing that.
So I just done all that, and thankfully we got back on the game. We had to wait. And it was by the time I got on the game that it said 1,500 something data to download.
Damn. What?
Because, I have that data. And typically it shows that much things for new Pocket players. When you're about to go on the game, it says, oh, time to download 1,300 of data. So it had said this for me. I was like,
what? Okay.
A little bit scary, but
alright,
gonna wing it.
Here we go.
Here we go.
This reminds me of Mario.
I don't know.
Here we go. Shit. Oh, hell no.
So,
nope.
Thankfully, after 99% of it was downloaded, I got my account back, and I've been opening packs ever since then. So yeah, we've been doing good since that.
The game's literally working perfectly fine.
Yeah. It's not that big of a deal, but it just worried us at first, and we thought we'd just discuss it a little bit. So, yeah. This is our podcast for this week.
Yep.
Or, sorry, next week. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.